Part 16. Swallowed Star, My Understanding is Beyond Belief. Author, Bo Yoon Song. Chapter 151. Searched Can on Google. Moyandeng is inherently stronger than humans in the same realm. Diamond suit, diamond suit, diamond suit, diamond suit. Now that you have been promoted to the cosmic level, it is very easy to attack and kill those small captains and captains who are only at the 9th level of the stellar level. However, as the captains of each group died one by one, some world leaders from the adventurer army in the external remote control world discovered the existence of Luo Xia and Luo Feng. A world leader issued a notice. Now, a universe-level spiritual master should have appeared in the world within the world. His telekinetic weapons are good at burrowing into the ground. Captains died one after another, and the space rings were taken away. I'm afraid it's all the work of this cosmic level spiritual master. Every team, please be careful. Watch the ground beneath your feet. As this notice spreads, Luo Xia and Luo Feng's hunting operations become more difficult. However, in the subsequent war, they still managed to sneak attack on many captain-level figures. After all, even if you knew that there was a cosmic spiritual master hiding in the dark and coming to assassinate you, how could you care so much when the war broke out? There will always be omissions. And once the opportunity arises, Luo Xia and Luo Feng's Moyunvine will kill with one hit. In this way, Luo Xia and Luo Feng killed many captain-level figures in sneak attacks. After all, you can only be a thief for 1,000 days, how can you prevent a thief for 1,000 days? As time goes by, there will always be times when we become lax. The days passed. The war within the realm is very tragic and cruel. A month and a half passed. According to Babada's statistics, the adventurer army that originally numbered over 2 million has now been reduced to just over 600,000 without the adventurers in the core area participating in the battle. In other words, of the 1.8 million people who were actually fighting on the fringes, more than 400,000 were killed. Xioxia, it's time for us to stop. In a cave dug out in a mountain forest, Luo Feng recalled the crimson Moyunvine and said to Luo Xia. Rorschach nodded, now they have stopped and are wary of us. If they attack again, they will be easily exposed. Yes, Luo Feng smiled, the most important thing is that our harvest is rich enough. Rorschach asked Babada, Babada, how many cosmic crystals, thunderstones, and treasures did we harvest during this hunting plan? It should be noted that many people exchanged treasures from Master Wu. When Rorschach and the others attacked captain-level figures, in addition to the cosmic crystal and thunderstone, they also obtained many treasures. Babada said excitedly, we now have 7.2 million square meters of cosmic crystals. 9.3 million thunderstones. There are 12 treasures stolen. Hearing this, Luo Feng burst out laughing. 7.2 million cubic cosmic crystals is 7.2 billion cosmic coins. 9.3 million thunderstones can be exchanged for a lot of treasures. When the time comes, you can make a lot of money by selling those treasures. Less money. Let's go, brother. Rorschach also had a smile on his face. This is indeed an adventure. Otherwise, they would not be able to get so much wealth by just sitting on the earth and living in vain. Rorschach and the others flew cautiously towards the core of the realm within the realm. After spending nearly 5 hours, they finally saw the coalition station. You don't have to be so worried when you enter the camp, Luo Feng said with a smile. In the past 5 hours, their spirits were tense. There is no way, now in the world within the world, except for the core area where no fighting will break out, if you meet other people outside the camp, it will be an endless battle. Everyone went crazy. It doesn't matter who you are. Kill on sight? Rorschach and Luo Feng flew to the camp with Melissa and the others. Stop. As soon as they arrived at the gate of the camp, the captain of a detachment shouted loudly to stop Rorschach and the others, and thousands of people immediately flew into the camp, staring coldly at the 5 Rorschachs. "We are under the command of Lord Minjiao of Three Axe Mountains," Luo Xia said loudly and calmly. When the captain heard this, he lowered his head and looked at his smart optical brain screen. After confirming that the information was correct, he nodded slightly and said coldly, "Since you are under the command of Master Minjiao of Three Axe Mountains, then come in." Luo Xia glanced at the captain and followed Luo Feng and the others into the camp. When the 5 Rorschachs entered, the captain looked at their backs and gritted his teeth, "Those bastards from Three Axe Mountains. If this wasn't a coalition station, I would have killed you. Revenge for my brothers. Bastards." Naturally, Rorschach couldn't hear the captain's curse. The 5 of them walked in the camp and clearly felt that the atmosphere in the camp now was completely different from the atmosphere a month and a half ago. Everyone here looks at the other camp with a cannibalistic look. Luo Feng and the others blinked, and without saying a word, they went directly to the camp where Three Axe Mountains were located. The hatred of the war had spread through the camp. If it weren't for the orders of the world lords and domain lords from the outside world, I'm afraid the 200,000 troops stationed here would have started fighting immediately. Suddenly, Rorschach keenly sensed a voyeuristic sight. He looked in the direction he sensed, but what he saw was the camp of the 9th Prince Brolin. "That idiot is still staring at me," Rorschach muttered to himself and frowned. He knew that Brolin would not take action in the coalition camp. But after leaving the station and on the way back to Kanglan Star, there is no guarantee that Brolin will take action. Luo Xia bit her finger. "Damn, that guy must have some kind of protective treasure on him, otherwise I will definitely kill him. As a prince, Brolin must have some kind of protective treasure on his body, and Rorschach may not be able to break it with his current strength." So even though he really wanted to kill Brolin, Rorschach could only suppress the murderous intention in his heart at this time. And when Rorschach had murderous intentions towards Brolin, Brolin also got news about Rorschach. "Your Highness, the 5 people who escaped before are back." Catalo knelt down on one knee and reported to Brolin above. "The 5 people who escaped." Brolin frowned and didn't think of it for a while. Catalo continued, "It's the team where the star-level kid who owns the domain and understands the power of the original law is in. It's them." Brolin narrowed his eyes, a cold murderous intent flashing through them. He has offended a talented person like Rorschach to death, so he must find a way to kill Rorschach before Rorschach grows up. Otherwise, when Rorschach grows up, he will be the one who dies. Brolin knew this very well, so he ordered Catalo, "Show them to death. If they dare to leave the camp, send me someone to kill them immediately." "Yes, Your Highness." "Rorschach." A voice suddenly sounded, and Luo Xia looked at the silver-haired man in front of him in confusion. "Who are you?" Rorschach looked at the silver-haired man hesitantly. He probably didn't know this man, but he seemed to know him. "Haha, I heard Master Minjiao talk about you," the silver-haired man said with a smile. "I received your information. Let me formally meet you. I, Bendai, am also a subordinate of Master Minjiao. This person is at the cosmic level," Babata said in the space wristband. Luo Xia bowed slightly. "It turns out to be Master Bendai." Baidi stepped forward and patted Luo Xia with a very cordial attitude, and said, "Master Ming, you told me about you. When the time comes to leave the realm within the realm and return to Kanglan Star, you can come with me." "Yes," Rorschach responded. Bendai patted Luo Xia's shoulder again before leaving with a smile. First 2,000 words. Swallowed Star, my understanding is beyond belief. Author, Bo Yun Song. Chapter 152. Late night fell quickly. 69shux. Com. Rorschach looked in the direction of the castle and saw many people wearing battle uniforms entering the castle. "Brother, I'm going," he said to Luo Feng on the side. Luo Feng warned, "Well, be careful." Rorschach nodded. The black suit shrouded his entire body, and his ferocious appearance looked very majestic and terrifying. Click, click, click. The combat boots made a crunching sound when they stepped on the ground. Rorschach walked slowly towards the dark blue castle. That boy entered the castle again. Is he going to exchange treasures, or is he going to confuse people? No matter what he is going to do, report this matter to Lord Cadelo. When Rorschach walked towards the castle, he secretly warned his people to take action immediately. His Highness the Ninth Prince said so. The boy with the power of domain and law must be targeted. Under the gaze of many people, Rorschach walked into the castle, and then followed the guidance to a house. He did not call out Master Wu immediately, but sat down and fell asleep. At the same time, I summarized the harvest in my heart. The large amount of cosmic crystals obtained this time can be used to catalyze the clone of the golden horned giant beast in my cave world. Cosmic crystals are condensed from the original energy of the universe. In essence, it is the same as energy crystals such as wood crystals, except that it has a higher energy level. Moreover, the cosmic crystal is the foundation for creating the inner world, so it can naturally be absorbed by Logosia's cave world. Using the original energy contained in the cosmic crystal to catalyze the birth of the golden horned behemoth's clone can shorten the gestation time to at least 3 months. Logosia thought of this and smiled slightly. With the golden horned behemoth clone, his combat power will skyrocket again. Little guy, you're here again. A familiar voice sounded, and Rorschach woke up from his slumber and looked at the old man with a white beard floating in the air. Master Wu, are you done? Rorschach asked with a smile. Master Wu looked at Logosia, and a strange smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. Yeah, I'm done. The other little guys are really interesting. Many people came in, but they didn't exchange the treasures. I should have made a rule at that time. If anyone came in, they wouldn't. If you exchange the treasure, you will be killed directly by the thunder. In this way, I may reduce my workload a little. Logosia blinked, looked at Lord Wu and said, don't you like communicating with people? Why are you complaining about the workload now? The smile on the corner of Mr. Wu's mouth was faintly crazy. Others are not as patient as you. No one wants to see an old man who has lived for tens of millions of years go crazy. What's more, I am still an intelligent life. Okay, no more nonsense. His expression calmed down for a moment, and he looked at Logosia and asked, tell me, what treasures are you going to exchange for when you come here this time? Rorschach asked, can I see the treasure list first? Of course, it's no problem. Old man, I like it. I won't waste your time and will directly mark all the treasures that have been exchanged for you. Master Wu said, waved his hand, and the treasure list immediately appeared in front of Logosia. 1. The bank account, triple account, where a complete set of space secret technique inheritance crystal balls is deposited. Stock, none. 2. The owner's deposit bank account number, stock, none. 3. Domain lord level blood potions, 1 copy, stock, none. 18. Thunder secret technique, 6 sets, stock, 5 sets. 68. Level 5 force weapon heavenly fire wheel, 1 piece, stock, none. Rorschach looked at the series of nothings on the list, blinked, and said to Babata in the wrist space, okay, Babata, it's time for you to work. Babata nodded, clicking on the list with his finger, I want this, and that. Rorschach followed Babata's instructions and began to place orders on the list. This, that, and these, I want them all. By the way, Master Wu, I also want all the secret techniques of Lele. Rorschach doesn't have access to the Thunder secret technique, but he remembers that the cosmic energy attribute absorbed by the god of thunder is thunder. This Thunder secret technique should be suitable for him, and he can buy it back and give it to the god of thunder. Master Wu. He looked at Rorschach with a strange look. Others have fewer thunderstones as they get to the later stages. How come there are more and more people here in Rorschach? Well. Luo Xia looked at the thunderstone in the space ring and said, "That's it?" Lord Wu glanced at the treasures exchanged by Rorschach and said, "A total of 9.12 million thunderstones are needed." Luo Xia nodded, a space wristband appeared in his hand, and handed it to Master Wu. "Master Wu, take a look, this is 9.12 million thunderstones." Master Wu took the space wristband, checked it out, and found that there were no mistakes. Then he said to Luo Xia with a smile, "Little guy, you really surprised me. I don't think you have much power in the coalition. How come you have so many thunderstones?" "You'll get there if you squeeze in." Rorschach blinked and said with a smile. Master Wu's eyes were confused. "Squeeze?" Babata complained. "He has never been on Earth, so he doesn't understand what you are saying. And you are talking about something before the Great Nirvana, right? You were born after the Great Nirvana, so why are you so interested in the period before the Great Nirvana?" "Maybe it's nostalgia," Rorschach responded with a smile. Although Lord Wu didn't get what Rorschach said, he still smiled, released the storage space, and released all the treasures that Rorschach had exchanged. As various treasures were released, the room was immediately filled with a strong breath of the origin law. Surrounded by these breaths, Rorschach's soul suddenly seemed to boil, like the gates of a surging dam were opened. At this moment, the world in Rorschach's eyes changed. The breath of the origin law on those weapons had shapes, colors, and concepts in his sight. The terrible understanding was running wildly. At this moment, his consciousness seemed to have traveled through endless time and space and came to a vast and boundless storm world. This is. Rorschach's consciousness watched the whistling green wind. This is a vast blue ocean, where the endless breath of the law of wind permeates. The powerful law pressure, if the general will of the star level comes here, it will be wiped out and annihilated in an instant. But Luo Xia's will withstood. His consciousness and soul did not collapse and annihilate under this terrifying and terrible law pressure. Although at this time, his consciousness that accidentally broke into this space was like a small boat in the wind and waves, it seemed that it would capsize in the next second. But no matter how this blue ocean surges and rolls, Luo Xia's will is with the waves and does not collapse. If someone can see Luo Xia's sea of consciousness, they will find that the golden sphere in his sea of consciousness is bursting with brilliant light, and the endless surging sea of spiritual power is boiling. Buzz. The space in the castle room suddenly trembled slightly. In the extremely astonished sight of Lord Wu and Babata, a drop of pure blue water appeared out of thin air. This is. Mr. Wu's whole body trembled, staring blankly at the pure cyan water drop. And Babata in the wristband space widened his eyes, breathing rapidly, with a look of disbelief. How is this possible? The recognition of the origin law. How could it be the recognition of the origin law? Amid Babata's screams and Mr. Wu's rapid breathing, the sound in the room suddenly became very quiet. The two intelligent beings stared blankly. The pure cyan water drop slowly dripped, penetrated into Luo Xia's body, and entered his sea of consciousness. When this pure cyan water drop appeared in Luo Xia's sea of consciousness, everything here seemed to have entered a state of stagnation in time and space. The surging spiritual power ocean was fixed, and the shining golden sphere was still. The power crystal star rotating around the golden sphere was no longer rotating at this time. Then, this pure cyan water drop slowly dripped onto the golden sphere. Buzz. At this moment, Luo Xia's soul underwent a transformation. The color of the golden sphere gradually changed and turned into cyan gold. At the same time, a cyan mark appeared between Luo Xia's eyebrows. This mark faintly had a law fluctuation that made people's heart palpitate. This is a sign after the recognition of the origin law. But, Lord Wu looked at Luo Xia in disbelief and took a few steps back. How is this possible? You are the star level. Why did you get the recognition of the origin law? Am I dreaming? Babata also shouted, Luoxia, you are cheating. Aren't we here to exchange treasures? How come you suddenly got the recognition of the origin law of wind? Could it be that, you are the biological son of the origin will of the universe? So under any circumstances, the origin will of the universe let the origin law of wind recognize you? This is too crazy. Rorschach himself was also somewhat confused. He rubbed his temples and felt a pain in his head. Something seemed to appear in the depths of his soul. He wanted to grasp what appeared in the depths of his soul, but it was like seeing flowers in the fog, and he could not touch it. Hey! Rorschach! Babata saw that Rorschach's condition seemed a little wrong, and hurriedly asked, are you okay? Rorschach shook his head, his expression still a little dazed, I'm fine. So what happened just now? Babata asked, why did you suddenly get the recognition of the origin law? This is not right. You are only at the star level. Although you have comprehended the origin law of wind, you should not have comprehended a very high level. How could you suddenly get the recognition of the origin law of wind? You know, if you want to get the recognition of the origin law, you must comprehend the origin law to a very high level. But Rorschach is only at the star level. How can the realm of the origin law he can comprehend be high enough to be recognized by the origin law? In everyone's concept, this is something that is impossible to do. Rorschach blinked, I'm not sure either. My state just now was somewhat like what people on Earth call enlightenment, or enlightenment. Enlightenment, enlightenment, Babata blinked. Rorschach nodded. Yes, the breath of the origin law here just now was very strong. When I was surrounded by that breath, my soul and understanding were like a switch was triggered. I felt a sudden enlightenment, and the world was like this, it was very mysterious. I can't describe that feeling in detail. Then, my consciousness was brought to a space full of the origin law of wind by a breath of the origin law of wind in that mysterious feeling. Rorschach said to Babata in his heart while recalling the feeling just now. A space full of the origin law of wind, that is the origin of the law of wind. Babata opened her mouth wide, and after a while, she shouted. This is incredible. You may be the only person who has been recognized by the origin law at the star level since the birth of the universe. Are you sure you are not the biological son of the original universe? Rorschach. When talking about Rorschach's name, Babata shouted it out in a shouting voice. Rorschach was speechless. Babata, you made my head hurt when you shouted, is it necessary to react so excitedly and exaggeratedly? Isn't it just? Little guy. Okay, you all shout like that, right? Luoxia looked at Lord Wu speechlessly. Do intelligent life forms like to shout loudly when they are excited? My ears. Lord Wu. Am I not dreaming? Lord Wu asked. Luoxia nodded, I am not dreaming. Upon hearing this, Lord Wu looked at the blue mark on Luoxia's forehead with excitement and madness, and said excitedly, so you are really recognized by the origin law? I think so, Luoxia touched his forehead. I don't know if this blue mark can be hidden? As his mind moved slightly, he saw the blue mark at the center of his eyebrow slowly disappear. Time can go back a little. When Luoxia inadvertently entered the origin of the wind law, Luo Feng and others who were waiting in the outside world suddenly felt a terrifying breath coming. For a moment, everyone's eyes turned to the dark blue castle. In their sight, the dark blue castle in the dark night was shrouded by an extremely powerful law aura, and the green secret pattern flowed around the castle, emitting green light. For a moment, the entire dark blue castle was extremely dazzling, and the terrifying law aura made everyone palpitate, and those with weak wills even fainted directly on the ground. What is that? What a terrifying aura! What happened in the castle? How could there be such a powerful aura? In the camp of the 9th Prince of the Black Dragon Mountain Empire, the 9th Prince Brolin trembled as he watched the strange phenomenon appearing in the dark blue castle, and was shocked by the law aura. What is this? he asked with difficulty. The bodyguards protecting Brolin shook their heads and could not answer at all. Because the advent of the origin of the law is not something they can touch at their current level. The star level did not know what the scene meant, but a few domain masters and many realm masters knew what this strange phenomenon represented. As the aura of the law shrouding the castle gradually dissipated, many people sent the recorded images to their superiors. When the video spread outside, all the bigwigs were shocked. When each bigwig saw the green secret pattern lingering on the castle, his expression was unbelievable. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Swallowed Star, my understanding is beyond belief. Author, Bo Yun Song. Chapter 153. Kang Langxing, in the villa bought by Minjiao, because the real confrontations are all in the realm within the realm, he usually has nothing to do, so he drags his good friend Xiao Dong to his villa to have wine and talk. Suddenly, the expressions of Mingyu and Xiao Donglei changed. Mingyu looked at Xiao Donglei and said with a smile, "It seems that you have also got the news. Let's take a look together." Xiao Dong said and asked the intelligent optical brain to project the video sent by his subordinates. In the lobby of the luxurious villa, a huge picture was projected. On the projection, in the night, a dark blue castle was shining and turning in the cyan secret pattern, which was extremely dazzling. Even if they were not at the scene, Mingyu and Xiao Donglei could sense the terrifying aura from the cyan secret pattern. That's the secret pattern of the original law. Mingyu looked at the cyan secret pattern on the screen in shock. Xiao Donglei on the side also widened his eyes. The secret pattern of the law appears. This is the arrival of the original law. The two top domain masters stared blankly at the image on the screen. It was not until the cyan secret pattern on the dark blue castle disappeared that Mingyu said, "How could the original law come to the world within a world?" Xiao Donglei frowned and said, "Generally speaking, there is only one possibility for the original law to come, and that is to recognize a person who has understood the law to an extremely high level." Mingyu said in surprise, "But most of the people in the world within the world are at the star level, and a few are at the cosmic level. Who can comprehend the laws to an extremely high level? This kind of thing is something that none of them, the territory lords, can do. How could a group of stars and universes do this? How is this possible?" When Mingyu and Xiao Donglei were extremely surprised, Fire Realm Lord Amons also saw the video. He was even more shocked than Mingyu and others. Because he is a peak world lord recognized by the law of the origin of fire. He knows how difficult it is to get the recognition of the original law. But what's going on now? Why is there anyone in the world within a world who is recognized by the original law? What the hell is going on? The aura all over the Flame Realm Lord was rioting, and violent flames were generated around him, burning and twisting the space. The outside world, the two major holy places, the four major organizations, and the powerful men of the 16 major families were extremely shocked when they saw the video. They issued orders one after another. Let the subordinates who are in the world within the world find the person recognized by the original law. No matter who he is, find a way to win him over and join the organization. This order was quickly conveyed to the world within the world. So countless people looked at the gate of the castle eagerly. As long as someone came out, someone would immediately go up to ask if he had been recognized by the original law. These adventurers who entered the castle to confuse the audience were at a loss when asked. Recognition of the original law. Oh! The terrifying aura that suddenly appeared before turned out to be the arrival of the original law. But, it's not me. Why not me? The adventurers were beside themselves with jealousy. You must know that as long as you can be recognized by the original law and do not fall during your growth, you will definitely be able to break through the Realm Master and achieve immortality. The arrival and recognition of the original law, is the sudden terrifying aura just now the arrival of the original law. Luo Feng listened to the news that Aogu and the others had inquired, and asked Atuka, the intelligent optical brain on his arm, Atuka, what does the recognition of the original law mean? Master Atuka replied, the recognition of the original law means that when a person realizes an extremely profound state of an original law, the original law will give him a mark and acknowledge it. After being recognized by the original law, you can improve your understanding of the original law. When using the power of the law, you will reduce consumption and greatly increase the power of the law. These materials and information can be found in the virtual universe. So Atuka searched and sorted it out and explained to Luo Feng. Luo Feng actually didn't understand what he heard, because at this time, he had not yet come into contact with the original law and had no idea about the so-called law. But the most basic information is still clear. An existence that can be recognized by the original law is very powerful. Inside the castle, Rorschach naturally didn't know that the vision he had caused had already caused an uproar in the outside world. Nowadays, in addition to paying attention to the treasures of Lord Cabu, all forces and powerful people are also paying attention to Rorschach, who is recognized by the original law. Of course, the outside world does not know that Rorschach is the person recognized by the original law. The only people who currently know this news, well, the only intelligent beings are Babata and Lord Fog. The two intelligent beings finally calmed down after being shocked. Luo Xia put all the treasures released by Master Wu into the space ring, and said to Master Wu, I am leaving. Master Wu looked at Luo Xia with a strange look, nodded and said, well, you can go. Rorschach blinked. What was going on with the way the old man looked at him? Alas! I remember that this old man has become a pervert. Rorschach trembled and quickly turned around and left. He walked out of the city gate. When he reached the gate, he found that everyone in the camp was looking at him and couldn't help but hesitate. Holy shit, what's going on? Why is he looking at me? Babata said in the wristband space, it may be the impact of the advent of the origin law just now. You made a lot of noise just now. What should we do now? Luo Xia calmed down and walked forward. Babata said, you'd better keep the fact that you have been recognized by the origin law a secret, otherwise, someone may kill you at all costs, such as Brolin. If Brolin knew that you were recognized by the origin law, he would never let you leave the world alive. Because he has hunted you and has already formed a feud. If you live, he will die in the future. Rorschach frowned slightly and nodded. He walked towards the camp of Sanfu Mountain in the sight of everyone. Brother Luo Xia, a voice stopped Luo Xia. He turned his head and saw the silver-haired Bandi coming over. Did you go to the castle just now? Ah, yes, because he didn't have the 72 transformations, he couldn't deny it in front of everyone. Master Bandi. What's wrong with everyone? Rorschach pretended to be ignorant and asked. Bandi looked at Rorschach, especially at the position between his eyebrows. He didn't see the mark and felt a little disappointed. He said, don't you know? Rorschach used his acting skills that surpassed the best actor and shook his head in confusion. Bandi had to say, when you were in the castle just now, did you feel a terrible breath? Ah, yes. When the breath appeared, I was shocked and fainted. The breath was too scary. Although it's a bit disrespectful to say this, I feel that the breath is more terrible than the feeling that Master Minjiu gave me. Master, do you know what happened at that time? Babata gave Rorschach a thumbs up in the wristband space. This acting is too good. Bandi said, you fainted, it seems that it was not you. Many people who came out of the castle just now fainted under everyone's questioning. This is also very normal. After all, that was the advent of the origin law. They all felt suffocated and palpitated outside the castle, not to mention Luo Xia and his friends who were in the castle. It was very normal to be knocked unconscious by the breath. Just now, the origin law descended. Bandi began to explain to Luo Xia. After listening, Luoxia said in disbelief, "Wow! Someone actually got the recognition of the origin law. How is this possible? Isn't that something that only the great world master can do?" "Yes, so Lord Minjiao told us that we must find that person no matter what, and then let him join us. Such a genius will definitely become immortal in the future," Ben De said with envy. Although he was lucky enough to be promoted to a cosmic level strongman in the world within the world this time, his talent was not that high, just barely. So he was extremely eager to become immortal. But with his talent, I'm afraid it's impossible. Immortality. That's the eternal God. I thought it would be even better if it was you. Ben De looked at Luoxia and said, "After all, you are originally under the command of Lord Minjiao, let's not talk about this. Did you go in just now to exchange treasures?" "Yes," Luoxia nodded, "my brother and I have found a lot of thunderstones these days, so we took this opportunity to exchange a treasure for Lord Minjiao." "Okay, I know, you have a good rest." Ben De patted Luoxia's shoulder and walked to the side. "I still have to find the great genius recognized by the origin law." "Lord Ben De, you are busy." Luoxia watched Ben De leave, and then looked at Luo Feng and others who came over. "Brother." Luo Feng walked over and asked with telekinesis, "Is the person recognized by the origin law you?" "Brother, how did you know?" Luoxia asked with a smile. Luo Feng smiled bitterly, "Except for you, I can't think of anyone else who would be so amazing." "Actually, I was also surprised this time." Luoxia scratched his head and said. This time, the recognition of the origin law was very sudden. Rorschach didn't know that under such a strong breath of the origin law, his understanding and soul would suddenly burst out and directly be recognized by the origin law of wind. Luo Feng said solemnly, "Don't expose yourself, otherwise they will definitely force you to join their organization. In fact, it's not impossible to join these organizations," Babata suddenly said. "With Rorschach's talent, once he joins them, he will definitely receive the highest standard of training. But I'm afraid they will use dirty tricks to brainwash Rorschach and turn him into a slave." Rorschach frowned and said, "Such a despicable method, brainwashing and turning into a slave? If you do this, won't it ruin me? What's the benefit to them?" "Indeed, ordinary brainwashing methods and methods of controlling slaves will ruin you," Babata nodded, "but in this universe, there are too many ways to turn you into a slave and brainwash you while retaining your talent and understanding. It's just that the cost of those methods is very expensive." Babata looked at Rorschach, "But compared to getting a genius who is against the sky, unconditionally obedient, and will definitely become immortal in the future, it is not unacceptable to pay some expensive prices. This universe is too dark and cruel." Luo Feng couldn't help but say after hearing this. Babata spread his hands and said, "You people on earth have said that you know people but don't know their hearts. You should be careful when you go out. What I said is very likely to happen." She said to Rorschach, "As long as you don't expose the mark of the law, it will be difficult to find you among more than 600,000 people." "Babata is right, be careful when sailing the ship of 10,000 years." Luo Feng nodded and said. Luoxia said, "Let's not talk about it for now. They shouldn't be able to find me for the time being. After exchanging the treasures, I still have more than 180,000 thunderstones on me. What should I do?" Luo Feng thought for a moment and said, "Just find someone to sell it to." Babata said, "Sell it? These thunderstones can't be exchanged for any treasures." "Okay, I'll find someone to sell the thunderstone." Luoxia touched his chin, "I can also take this opportunity to dispel many people's suspicions about me." In the following time, Rorschach began to find people in the camp to sell thunderstones. Not long after, Brolin saw Catalo, who had entered the tent to report the news, and asked, "How about it? Is the lucky guy recognized by the original law, the kid who has understood the power of the law?" "Your Highness, it shouldn't be him." Catalo shook his head hesitantly, Our people have observed it closely and there is no law mark between his eyebrows. The mark of the law can be hidden. Brolin shook his head. This cannot be used as an inference that he is not the lucky one. It is very possible that he has hidden the mark of the law. He looked at Catalo with cold eyes. The science secret pattern, the original law that came before was the law of wind, and you said that the original law he understood was the law of wind, although I don't want to admit it, but who is the person recognized by the original law? Without waiting for Catalo to answer, Brolin continued, it's amazing. It's really amazing. It has been recognized by the original law at the stellar level. This talent is unprecedented, not to mention unprecedented, right? Catalo. Your Highness, I am. Brolin looked coldly in the direction of the Three-Axe Mountain camp and ordered. We have become enemies with him and want him to join us. Even if I apologize in person, he will probably not accept it. And it is very difficult to capture him alive here. You immediately lead a small group of troops, carrying D-level laser cannons and laser guns, and now leave the realm within the realm and enter the Thunder World to ambush. When the army evacuates and returns to the Thunder World, attack the captain of Three-Axe Mountains and that boy. Go sniping. Catalo bowed his head and accepted the order. Yes, Your Highness. He exited the hall, then quietly left the camp with a small team, flying towards the exit of the realm within the realm. Swallowed Star, my understanding is beyond belief. Author, Bo-Yoon Song. Chapter 154. Rorschach naturally didn't know about Brolin's secret arrangement. Rightward arrow. He was looking for someone to sell thunderstones. After wandering around the camp and talking to many people, he finally sold the remaining thunderstones on him. Before, thunderstones that couldn't be bought with 1,000 cubic meters of cosmic crystals. Now you can buy one for 300 or 400 cubic meters. Rorschach sold 180,000 thunderstones at an average price of 400 cubic meters, and harvested a total of 72 million cubic meters of cosmic crystals. However, when these people took the thunderstones to exchange, they found that the treasures in the castle had been exchanged for almost all, and the good treasures had been exchanged away long ago. 5 days later, Lord Wu suddenly appeared above the castle, laughing and saying to everyone, ha ha ha. Little guys, just now, the last treasure here was also exchanged. Since then, all 312 treasures have been exchanged. Now, the exchange is over. Boom. As Lord Wu's voice fell, the ancient castle gate slowly closed. Many of the coalition troops stationed around the castle were stunned. It's over? The exchange is over? I still have thunderstones that I haven't exchanged, a wailing sounded, which made people tearful. This is too miserable. Luoxia listened to the cry and said to the big brother next to him with sympathy, the most tragic thing in the world is this. I want to spend money, but I find that money has become a useless stone. Luo Feng didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He is in the same mood as people died, but the money was not spent. Fortunately, we sold the remaining thunderstones early, otherwise we would be as heartbroken and sad as him. Thunderstones are unique stones in this world. The energy contained is very low. Take it to the outside world, it is useless. They are only valuable if they can be exchanged for treasures here. Now that the treasures have been exchanged, these thunderstones have no value. Those who used cosmic crystals to buy thunderstones from Luoxia before are now regretting it. But there is no regret medicine in this world. Who knew that the old man's treasures would be exchanged so quickly? Rorschach, suddenly, a messenger came over and said to Rorschach and the others, let me inform you that the treasure exchange here has ended. Soon, our army of the Three-Axe Mountain camp will set out, leave the world in the world, go to the Thunder World, and then return to Kanglan Star Diamond Suit Diamond Suit Diamond Suit Diamond Suit. Understood, thank you for the notice. Rorschach nodded in response. The messenger continued. Also, killing is prohibited in the coalition base, but once it sets out, the return journey of the armies of all parties does not belong to the coalition base, so there may be fighting on the way back. Be careful, don't leave the team. This is what Lord Bandi asked me to tell you. Thank you, Lord Bandi. Rorschach thanked. We will pay attention. The messenger nodded, turned, and left to inform others. Soon after, the coalition base began to act. The army of Belong City has set out. In the eyes of others, the army of Belong City was soaring into the sky in unison, covering the sky and the sun, and tens of thousands of horses flew into the distance. 3 Axe Mountain, everyone listened to the order set off. With a loud shout, the army of 3 Axe Mountain also officially set out. Luoxia and his men followed the army, soaring into the sky, like a dark cloud, also covering the sky and the sun, and flying into the distance. In the tent of the 9th Prince Brolin, he sat with a gloomy face. Your Highness, aren't we going to set out? A bodyguard asked Brolin when he saw that the other camps of the coalition had already set out. No hurry, I have my own judgment, Brolin said in a deep voice. He said this, but in his heart, he was waiting for the news of his grandfather. While the younger generations were fighting in the realms, the big men in the outside world were also playing games. This kind of game involved the inheritance crystal ball. On the exchange list of Lord Wu, the inheritance crystal ball was ranked first, and it also had 3 passwords. Brolin had previously spent countless manpower to exchange 2 passwords for the inheritance crystal ball. But when he went to exchange the 3rd password, Lord Wu told him that the 3rd password had been exchanged. Brolin's face suddenly darkened. He didn't even need to think about it, and he knew who had exchanged the 3rd password. In the entire world within the world, the only camp that could ignore him, the 9th Prince, was the 3 Axe Mountain. This was actually the case. When Brolin sent the news that the 3rd password of the inheritance crystal ball had been exchanged to his grandfather Hargrave soon found out that the 3rd password had been exchanged by the 3 Axe Mountain camp. Now, Hargrave and the World Master of the 3 Axe Mountain, General Tian Chen, are negotiating. General Tian Chen also knew that their camp could not get the other 2 passwords, but it was impossible for him to obediently hand over the 3rd password. The 2 sides were talking and pulling. At this time, Brolin was waiting for the signal from Grandpa Hargrave. If Hargrave said he wanted to fight, he would immediately send a message to Catalo and the others, asking them to ambush those captains who might have the 3rd code. If he said he didn't want to fight, Brolin's eyes flashed. That lucky boy who was recognized by the origin law must die too. Suddenly, Brolin's expression moved slightly, and his consciousness instantly sank into the virtual universe, and he saw Grandpa Hargrave appearing in the palace hall. Hargrave is a bald, hook-nosed old man wearing black and gold robes. It looks as cunning as a vulture. This is also true. Born from the heart, Hargrave is an insidious and cunning guy in the hearts of the Black Dragon Mountain Empire's world masters. Abu. Hargrave looked at his grandson. Brolin stepped forward and asked, Grandpa, should we take action? If we hesitate any longer, I'm afraid we won't be able to catch up. Do it, Hargrave said coldly. Immediately attack the people in 3 Axe Mountains, kill the leaders, and seize their intelligent optical brains. See if the last password of the inheritance crystal can be found in their intelligent optical brains. Record. Now that Zhang Tianchen knows the last password, then the person who got the password must have transmitted the password to the virtual universe through the intelligent optical brain immediately. This operation will definitely leave a record in the smart optical brain. As long as they find this intelligent optical brain, they can find the last password. Brolin listened to his grandfather's words, with a flash of excitement and madness in his eyes. Understood. Grandpa, don't worry, I have sent someone to ambush. Very good. Hargrave smiled and nodded, looking at Brolin fondly. Grandpa, I'll go out and direct them first. Go ahead. Brolin's consciousness returned to his body, the corners of his mouth curled up, and he ordered, "Let's go." As the order was spread, more than 60,000 people followed Brolin and others, taking to the air and flying toward the exit of the realm within the realm. 7 days later, the Three-Axe Mountain army has arrived at the exit of the realm within the realm, and now they are exiting from the exit and entering the Thunder World. At the exit of the Thunder World, in a spaceship with the shielding and invisibility effect turned on, Catalo and others were waiting for Brolin's order. The spaceship was given to them by Brolin. The purpose is to use the powerful capabilities of the spaceship. Back to the Thunder World again. Luoxia and the other 5 followed the army out of the realm within the realm. Looking at the familiar Fenglay Canyon in the distance, several of them sighed. "Rorschach, there's a spaceship nearby." Suddenly, Babata shouted in the wrist space. Rorschach frowned. "Spaceship? Where is it?" "The 9 o'clock direction in front of you is only more than 4,000 kilometers away from you," Babata replied. Luoxia quickly reminded Luo Feng and the others, "Brother, be careful. There is a hidden spaceship more than 4,000 kilometers ahead of us in the 9 o'clock direction." Luo Feng frowned when he heard this. "Hidden spaceship? Whose spaceship is it and what does it want to do?" At the same time, inside the spaceship, Catalo and the others also received orders from Brolin. "Scan the Three-Axe Mountain army and confirm the locations of 12 important targets." Catalo and the others ordered the spacecraft to scan according to the order. A second later, the voice of the intelligent optical brain sounded in the control room of the spacecraft. "There are 78,512 people in the Three-Axe Mountain army, and the locations of the 12 important target figures are." In front of Catalo and the others, an image was projected. In the image, 12 light spots appeared in the vast Three-Axe Mountain army. At the same time, on the left side of the virtual screen, 12 avatars appeared simultaneously, including 2 universe-level ones, several captains, and the avatar of Rorschach was also among them. Brolin continued to order, "Use 3D6 level laser cannons to bombard the Three-Axe Mountain army and make them confused. As for these 12 people, directly use laser guns to sniper. Then you take advantage of the chaos, parachute troops, and quickly seize the relics of these 12 people, especially their intelligent optical brains. Do you understand?" Catalo and others looked solemn and responded, "Understood." "Let's take action," Brolin's voice came. Catalo immediately took action, but... boom! The spaceship suddenly shook, then lost its invisibility effect and appeared in everyone's field of vision out of thin air. Outside, Bendy and the others looked at the 9 o'clock direction in front of the army in astonishment. Rorschach turned into a stream of light and struck the air with his sword. However, the sword did not fail, but directly cut out the invisible spaceship. Bendy and other captains reacted instantly and shouted, "Enemy attack! Enemy attack!" Catalo in the spaceship was immediately stunned. "Have we been discovered?" Brolin, who was on the remote control side, was also confused. Why was he discovered? Although their spaceship is not the best, but it is also a D-class spaceship, and its stealth effect is extremely strong. Even the strongest in the universe cannot detect it. Why was it discovered? Outside, Rorschach cut the spaceship out with a sword, grinning ferociously. "You want me to play sneak attack here? Brolin, right? I'll chop you off sooner or later." As he spoke, Rorschach's figure had already retreated violently. The D-class spacecraft's defense was too strong. Unless he used Kaishandadai to cut through the space, it would be possible to break through the defense. But he didn't want to expose his trump card so easily. After cutting out the spaceship, the rest will be left to the army of Three-Axe Mountains. In the distance, Brolin's eyes were splitting, and he shouted angrily, "If you are discovered, you will be discovered. They can't break through the defense of the spacecraft. Kill them directly." "Yes, Your Highness. Kechalugo was sweating profusely. After responding, he immediately started to act. 3 black streams of light suddenly shot out from the spaceship, silently. Only the army of Sanfu Mountain suddenly shook, and then hundreds of star-level 9th-level soldiers immediately turned into nothingness. The visible shockwave spread in all directions, and a large number of soldiers were killed wherever it passed. Luo Xia wiped the cold sweat from his head. If this thing exploded at him, he would probably die. Babata said, "This is a D-level laser cannon, which can easily kill even the universe level. Although you have the universe level Moyunvine defense, you'd better be careful." Luo Xia nodded, flashed, and shot into the army. Swallowed Star, my understanding is beyond belief. Author, Bo Yun Song. Chapter 155. Rorschach did not fly towards Luo Feng and the others because he was worried that he would be targeted by the people in the spaceship. If he flew to Rorschach's side, it would be easy to affect them. However, just as Rorschach was flying towards the army, he suddenly felt a warning sign and almost without hesitation, the domain and 2x talent enhancement were immediately activated. Buzz. The gray domain radiated out from Rorschach with Rorschach as the center. He saw a white light coming. This white light was extremely fast. Even though Rorschach had activated the super speed domain, he still couldn't react. He could only barely deflect his body. With a puff, the white light pierced his shoulder. The blood didn't even have time to flow out, and the wound was already black and charred. "It's a laser gun," Babata exclaimed. When Babata spoke, Rorschach had already dodged and hid in the mountains below. Xiao Xia. In the distance, Luo Feng also noticed Luo Xia's situation. He couldn't help but exclaimed, and immediately took Melissa and others to fly to Luo Xia's position. They dodged all the way, and they were afraid that they would be targeted by the laser gun. And just after the white light flashed, several teams flashed out of the spaceship. They rushed to the target people who were hit and snatched all their relics. Although there was a fight in the process, these people still successfully returned to the spaceship. Go. Brolin, who was connected to the spaceship remotely, ordered. The spaceship immediately flashed away and disappeared in the sight of the 3X Mountain army in an instant. Xiao Xia, Luo Feng came to Luo Xia's side. He saw that his brother's shoulder was pierced with a hole. "This. Brother, it's okay," Luo Xia grinned, "this wound will heal quickly." When he first opened up the cave world, his physical condition was worse than it is now. Now it's just a shoulder pierced, it's not a big deal. Under the powerful life gene and the life energy of the wood crystal, this wound is recovering rapidly. Soon, the charred necrotic tissues at the site of Luo Xia's wound fell off, and new flesh and blood tissues grew, and soon healed. "It's good that you're fine," Luo Feng breathed a sigh of relief. At the same time, in the escaping spaceship, the results of this battle were being reported. Number 1 succeeded. Number 2 succeeded. Number 3 succeeded. In the distance, Brolin frowned and listened to the results reported by his men. "We got 7 intelligent optical computers and 8 space storage devices." Catalo lowered his head with cold sweat, not daring to look at Brolin's virtual projection floating in the control room. "This is your achievement." Cataro explained, "Your Highness, we killed 11 of the 12 important targets, and only Rorschach actually dodged the laser gun, resulting in no hit on the head, allowing him to survive. Moreover, our spaceship was discovered, and we have done our best to grab these intelligent optical computers and space storage devices. Please forgive me, Your Highness." Brolin looked at his men kneeling in front of him coldly. "I don't need your excuses and reasons, I just want the result. However, I am very dissatisfied with this result." The men trembled. Brolin took a deep breath and continued, "That Rorschach, I know he is very fast, but you are using a laser gun. Can he be faster than a laser gun? Your Highness, forgive me." The men also looked aggrieved. Rorschach was able to dodge the attack of the laser gun, and they also felt it was outrageous, but what could they do? Can they still hold Rorschach's body and stop him from moving? Huh. Brolin felt that he was going crazy. But he also understood that if he let Catalo and the others go back now, it would be courting death, and the intelligent optical computer that had just been snatched back would also be snatched back. For now, he could only let Rorschach go first. Come back quickly, Brolin finally said so. Hearing this, the men kneeling below secretly breathed a sigh of relief. Lord Bendy is dead. Rorschach and his men who returned to the army received such news. Babata in the wristband said, "There is no way. The laser guns used by the people in the spaceship just now can easily kill the first and second level strongmen of the universe. That Bendy is only the first level of the universe. He was shot in the head and he will definitely not be spared." Rorschach said helplessly, "I shot the spaceship out and warned them, how could they be sniped?" Luo Feng said, "The laser gun is too fast. Even if there is a warning, it is impossible to dodge. Not everyone has a domain like Rorschach. With the speed of the laser gun, even if a cosmic level or domain lord level 1 came, it might not be possible to dodge." While the few people were talking, the army of Sanfa Mountain reorganized their military appearance. Although they were angry and wanted revenge, the big figures from the outside world sent a message to ask them to return to Kanglan Star immediately. Now, starting a war in this Thunder world has no great meaning except that more people will die. Brolin. Rorschach looked at the direction where the spaceship was escaping, gritting his teeth, "Sooner or later, I will chop him to death." The spaceship quickly arrived at the 60,000-strong army where Brolin was. Cataro sent the space storage device and intelligent optical computer he had robbed to Brolin. "You guys go down." Brolin waved his hand and asked Catalo and the others to leave. After everyone left and he was the only one left, he began to check these space storage devices and intelligent optical computers. 6 treasures. No. No. Aren't the records of that layer of passwords in these intelligent optical computers? Damn it! Damn it! Brolin checked and didn't find what he wanted, so he smashed everything on the ground angrily. After venting, Brolin sank into the virtual universe and went to find his grandfather. At the same time, on Kanglan Star, the Realm Master Zhang Tianchen on the Sanfa Mountain looked at the grandfather of the 9th Prince, Hargrave, leisurely, and said with a smile, "Hargrave, I said, if you want the last layer of password, you must agree to the 9 conditions I put forward, not one less." Hargrave narrowed his eyes slightly, stared at Zhang Tianchen, and said, "You are cruel enough." Zhang Tianchen kept smiling when he heard it. 2 top realm masters confronted each other. One of them had a thunder mark on his forehead, and the other had an ice mark. They were both peak realm masters recognized by the origin law. For a while, Hargrave took a deep breath and said, "I agree to your terms." Zhang Tianchen laughed loudly. "Hargrave, happy cooperation." "Happy," Hargrave stood up, saying happy, but there was no smile on his face. After agreeing to Zhang Tianchen's terms, he would lose more than 90% of his wealth. But as long as he can inherit the space secret method and become immortal, it will all be worth it. By the way, you just sent someone to ambush our 3-axe mountain in the Thunder world, right? Zhang Tianchen narrowed his eyes and looked at Hargrave. "I don't know what you are talking about," Hargrave said. "Rightward arrow." "It's okay." "I don't know it's okay." Zhang Tianchen also stood up. "I just want to tell you that the soldier who went to exchange the last password is dead, and the intelligent optical computer he carried was also destroyed. Some people don't have to waste their efforts." Hargrave's face froze, and he looked at Zhang Tianchen and said, "I admire you, I admire you." Zhang Tianchen smiled, "Haha, I admire you too. Hargrave, you prepare the things, I will give you the password." Hargrave said, I need a month to prepare the things you want. I'm not in a hurry, not at all. Jiang Tianchen smiled and shook his head. When you prepare the things I want, I will give you the password. Hargrave, then I'll leave first. Hargrave looked at Jiang Tianchen coldly, no need to see you off. Crack. A thunder rose out of thin air in the hall, and when the thunder dissipated, the world master Jiang Tianchen also disappeared. Jiang Tianchen, I'll let you take advantage of me this time. In the future, I will make you spit out twice as much as you swallowed today. Hargrave had a ferocious expression and snorted coldly. The cold wind blew, and ice and snow appeared and fell out of thin air, and he disappeared with it. After the big guys reached an agreement, there was no more friction between the armies of the various parties in the Thunder World. Rorschach and his team flew for more than 7 days and finally arrived at the exit leading to the outside world. This exit was not big, only enough for several people to go out at the same time. Rorschach and his team lined up and flew out one by one. More than an hour later, it was Rorschach's turn. After flying out of the exit, they returned to the villa on Kanglan Star. At this time, the villa had been opened to allow the adventurers to fly out. When Luo Xia and his companions flew out, they heard a voice playing outside the villa. All adventurers, gather at the front. Those who want to escape, kill. Those who disobey the administrator, kill. Luo Xia and Luo Feng looked up and saw a universe-level and domain-level strongmen flying in the air, looking coldly at the adventurers who had survived and returned. Luo Xia was sharp-eyed. After glancing at the strongmen in the air, he actually found Niu Lanshan. Brother, Niu Lanshan is here too. Luo Xia said to Luo Feng with telekinesis. Luo Feng was startled. Following Luo Xia's instructions, he looked up and saw Niu Lanshan in a dark green battlesuit. When the Niu Lanshan family sent a fleet to invade the Earth, Babata searched for information about the Niu Lanshan family. Luo Xia and his companions had seen photos and videos of Niu Lanshan at that time. At this time, Luo Xia recognized Niu Lanshan at a glance. In the distance, Niu Lanshan suddenly felt someone was looking at him. He frowned and turned his head to see Luo Xia and Luo Feng standing in the Sanfucian camp. He narrowed his eyes and murmured, "They are the two little guys from the Life Planet." After learning that his family's fleet had returned without success, Niu Lanshan checked Luo Xia's information and recognized Luo Xia and Luo Feng at a glance. The sights of both sides collided in the air. A thought immediately flashed through Niu Lanshan's mind. If I kill these two little guys here, wouldn't that life planet belong to me, Niu Lanshan? But as soon as this thought flashed through his mind, Niu Lanshan recalled the space attack that cut through the space and split the spaceship in his mind. That is a power that only the strong above the realm master level can use. Maybe the invincible strong man is still alive. These two little guys may have become the disciples of the invincible strong man. If I kill them myself. Forget it, I'll spare you this time. Niu Lanshan retracted his gaze from Luo Xia and Luo Feng. To offend an invincible strong man who might still be alive for the sake of a living planet, Niu Lanshan is not that stupid. Here, Luo Feng was a little confused and asked. Niu Lanshan wanted to kill him just now, why didn't he come? When they looked at each other just now, Luo Feng had already seen the murderous intent in the other person's eyes. He thought that Niu Lanshan would kill him in the next second, but he didn't expect that Niu Lanshan would look back. This was somewhat beyond Luo Feng's expectations. Rorschach said, "He must have been frightened by my last attack that cut open the space." Luo Feng was stunned for a moment, and then asked, "Is that the sword you used to split the space last time?" Rorschach nodded. At that time, he used Kaishandadai to cut open the space and split the spaceship in half. He was not using it casually, but to scare Niu Lanshan. It made Niu Lanshan think that there was a strong person behind him, and he was afraid. After all, the existence that can split space will be stronger than the universe level no matter what. Niu Lanshan is only at the 9th level of the universe, How could he dare to provoke him? Oh, I finally understand why you struck that sword in the first place. At this time, Babata also suddenly realized in the wrist space. The strong ones who can split space are all above the Realm Lord level. Of course, some top domain lords can also do it. These strong men are not something that Nyolanchen, who is at the 9th level of the universe, can provoke. You split the space with one sword. Nyolanchen will never think that it was you who did it. Instead, he will wonder if there is an invincible strongman hiding behind you. Splitting the spaceship is a warning to him. Having said this, Babata looked at Nyilan Mountain in the distant sky and continued. He must think that the master is still alive. After all, the master's death is extremely secret. Even if rumors leak out, before seeing the master's body, whether the master is still alive has become a shwedding the grid cat. Nyolanchen, a 9th level cosmic level man, would not dare to bet on such a thing. After all, for an immortal level powerhouse, killing a guy like Nyolanchen is as easy as squeezing an ant to death. Rorschach smiled and nodded. That's it? You know, his realm master brother on the falling ink star died immediately after being affected by the energy of the immortal level powerhouse. If it were a cosmic level or immortal level powerhouse like Nyolanchen, he could be killed by just one look. Therefore, Rorschach used Kai Tiandi just to make Nyolanchen doubt himself. Let Nyolanchen think that teacher Hu Yanbo is still alive and dare not do anything to their earth again. Now it seems that the effect of that sword is still good. After receiving Babata's explanation, Luo Feng came to understand, with a look of surprise on his face. It turned out that there was so much meaning behind Xioxia's sword. No wonder I can't see any movement from the Nyilanchen family in the future. It turned out that he was frightened by Xioxia's sword. Seeing that Nyilanshan no longer looked over, Luo Xia and Luo Feng no longer paid attention to him. They just followed Sanakan's army and gathered at the side. Xioxia, what treasure will you give to Master Minjiao later? Luo Feng asked using telepathy. This time they were in the castle, but they exchanged many treasures. If they took out any of those treasures, they would be enough to deal with Mingyu. The 5th level force weapon is the sky-cutting knife, Luo Xia said. This is an average treasure in his hand. Just one, is it enough? Luo Feng asked. Luo Xia nodded, that's enough. Babata said that the value of this sky-cutting knife would make it difficult for Master Minjiao to purchase it even if all his assets were added up. It's enough to give him. Hearing this, Luo Feng nodded with relief, that's good. There is one more chapter. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Swallowed Star, my understanding is beyond belief. Author, Bo Yun Song. Chapter 156. As the army was assembled, many strong men began to come over and take away their men. Degree. 70,000, 60,000, 50,000. The number of adventurers in Rorschach's army is getting smaller and smaller. Finally, Mingyu appeared. Haha, Rorschach, it's so happy to see you again. The tall and strong Mingyu stood in mid-air and said with a hearty laugh. Sir Luo Xia saluted, and then flew to Mingyu with his eldest brother Luo Feng and the others. In the team, more than 200 people flew over and bowed to Mingyu. Okay, let's all go to my manor and have a rest. Mingyu looked at Luo Xia and the others with a smile, nodded slightly, and said. After he finished speaking, he took the lead and flew forward. Rorschach and the others followed, and soon they came to a beautiful manor built on the grassland. After entering the manor, more than 200 adventurers were sent away. Luo Xia, the 5 of them and Mingyu sat at a table. Mingyu shook his head and said, I guess you all know that one of the subordinates I sent, named Bai Di, broke through to the cosmic level and got a treasure for me. Although he was ranked at the bottom, he was also a very expensive treasure. It's a pity that when you came back, he was killed and the treasures were taken away. I heard that Luoxia was the first to discover the spaceship at that time. When he finished speaking, Mingyu looked at Luoxia. Luoxia nodded, yes, Lord Minjiao. Unfortunately, Lord Bendai and the others were not saved in the end. Mingyu said, there is nothing we can do about it. After all, Ninth Prince Brolin and the others used laser cannons and laser guns. Even us domain masters can't avoid the laser gun attacks. He paused and finally asked, how was your harvest in the realm within the realm this time? Luoxia looked at Mingyu with a smile and said, in exchange for a treasure. Mingyu blinked, he knew this. Bai Di told him. I just don't know what treasure Rorschach exchanged for. Mingyu asked expectantly, what treasure? Luoxia's mind moved, and suddenly a 3-meter-long wide-handled sword appeared on the table in front of him. There are extremely complex secret patterns on the surface of the sword, and a heart-stopping aura circulates throughout the sword. It can be seen that the space around the blade is trembling slightly. The sharp and huge aura made Luoxia and the others pale. Lord Minjiao, this is the 5th level force weapon Zhangkong Dao, Luoxia said. Okay. 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 Mingyu stared at the Zhangkong knife, his eyes blazing. Treasure. This sky-cutting knife was more valuable than the treasure that Ben Di exchanged for him. After a while, Mingyu put away his fiery gaze, looked at Luoxia and said, Luoxia, this is a heavy gift. Do you know how much this gift is worth? Luoxia smiled and said, yes, it's a sky-high price. It's a sky-high price that we can't imagine. Mingyu nodded, yes, it's a sky-high price. All my wealth combined is far from enough to buy such a sword. I said before that I won't treat you badly. Tell me, what are your requirements? Luoxia and Luo Feng looked at each other. Then Luoxia said, Master Minjiao, we only hope to leave Kanglan Star safely, and there are no other requirements. Leave Kanglan Star safely, haha. Luoxia, you are careful enough, but don't worry, there are a lot of strong people on Kanglan Star now, and basically no one will take action randomly. You are safe. Mingyu said. Then, he lowered his head to think and said. This is not a request of yours. Let's do this, I will give you 1/3 of my territory. No, this will not work. You will be targeted by someone with intentions. In this way, the nearly 100,000 living planets under my command will be starting today, half of the ownership belongs to you. Luoxia and Luo Feng blinked. Is this the domain owner? There are literally hundreds of thousands of living planets. Luoxia said, Lord Minjiao, I am just a star. It is useless to ask for so much territory and cash. Don't give it to me. Mingyu looked at Luoxia and said, there are too many territories that you won't be able to use, but the benefits will be great later. And as a territory lord, how can I get your benefits in vain? He shook his head and said, don't refuse me. If you think it's too much, I will transfer all the ownership of the 10,000 planets under my command to you. When Luoxia saw that Mingyu looked like he couldn't refuse, he could only say hesitantly, then there will be 200 life planets. My brother and I will each have 100. Okay, Mingyu nodded, you brothers each have 100 planets as their territory. It is not very conspicuous in the universe and will not attract the attention of big people. As for cash, I really don't have much cash here, far away it's far from the value of the knife Zanbing knife you gave me. Luoxia shook his head and said, Lord Minjiao, the 200 life planets you gave us are enough. Cash and other things are fine. Mingyu said, give me your account number. Luoxia opened her mouth, but Mingyu looked at her and had no choice but to report her account number. Luo Feng blinked at the side, are you in a hurry to give money? Mingyu saw Luoxia's account and said with a smile, Universal Galaxy Bank, you are quite rich. In this universe, those who can open accounts at the two major banks are rich. Those who have no money can only handle galaxy-level banking in their own galaxy. The account number reported by Luoxia was a new account originally opened at Universe Galaxy Bank, not the account number left by teacher Hu Yanbo. Not long after, Babata suddenly said, "Rorschach, you received an email." Rorschach said, "What did the email say?" Babata glanced at it and said, "This Minjiao has given you 20 billion universe coins, and now you have been promoted to a 2-star user in the Universe Galaxy Bank." 20 billion cosmic coins, Rorschach was a little surprised. This is equivalent to the total price of 100,000 living planets. He quickly stood up and said to Mingyu, "Sir, this. Whatever this is, you just keep what I gave you." Mingyu was very happy to get the Skyzancing knife. He pressed his hand on Luoxia, and suddenly there was an invisible force pressing on Luoxia's shoulders, making him sit down again after standing up. "Don't think I gave you much." Mingyu looked at Luoxia, smiled and shook his head. 200 universe coins can't buy the sky-cutting knife you gave me. If I give you less, I will feel indebted. This is not good for my cultivation." Rorschach blinked. Suddenly, the surrounding space shook slightly, like a gust of wind suddenly blowing from the waveless lake surface, causing ripples in the space. Immediately afterwards, a figure suddenly appeared. He was wearing a black cloak, with 2 tentacles on his head, a cold expression, and a pair of eyes that seemed to encompass the entire world, deep and serene. "General." Mingyu was slightly startled, and hurriedly saluted, and then said to Luoxia and others, "This is my lord of the 3 Axe Mountains." Luoxia and the others quickly saluted, "Lord Realm Master." The Realm Master glanced at Luoxia, a light flashed in his eyes, but he didn't say anything. He just turned his attention to the Zhangkong knife on the table. He said, "Minjiao, you are lucky." Mingyu showed a simple and honest smile. The Realm Master continued, "I bought this Skyzanking knife. I just need a good weapon." Hearing this, Mingyu quickly said, "I can't use the 5th level force weapon to its full power. It's an honor for me to be able to use it, General." He said, took a step forward, raised the Skyzancing knife, and presented it to the Realm Lord. The tall and thin Realm Master stretched out his hand, and the sky-destroying knife immediately flew into his hand. His eyes lit up with golden light, shining on the blade. When he saw the strange secret patterns covering the blade, he grinned, "What a knife! Wow!" The Realm Master holds the Skyzanking knife and slashes the knife into the air. In the astonished eyes of Luoxia and others, a crack 2 or 3 kilometers long was drawn in the clear blue sky. Behind the cracks, there are all kinds of disillusions. "Ha ha ha ha," the Realm Master laughed and was very satisfied with holding the Zhangkong knife. "It is indeed a Zhangkong knife. My understanding of the origin of space is only superficial, but with the help of the Zhangkong knife, it can be easily torn apart. Space. It's really a good thing." Mingyu smiled and said, "Congratulations, General." The Realm Master looked at Mingyu and said with a smile, "Mingyu, I will take your Zhangkong Dao and I won't let you suffer much loss. I have already earned the money in your account, and I owe you a favor." After saying that, the Realm Lord disappeared directly. Luoxia frowned, looking at the position where the World Lord disappeared, and felt the extremely subtle fluctuations in the airflow. "It's so fast." Luo Feng said, "The Realm Lord has disappeared. Is it teleportation?" Babata said, "It's not teleportation, it's just that the flying speed is too fast and your reaction nerves can't keep up." Luo Feng was curious and asked, "Leaving by flight? How fast?" When it finally left, the instantaneous speed was 32,169 kilometers per second, Babata said. Rorschach said, "This is already 1/10 of the speed of light." While Luoxia and the others were communicating with each other through telepathy, Mingyu also finished reading the money sent to him by the Realm Master. He smiled brightly and said to Luoxia, Luoxia, I took the Zhongkong knife you gave me first and sold it for a high price. I want to thank you very much. What did you say, sir? We should thank you, sir. If it weren't for you, my brother and I would be in a world within a world, and we wouldn't be able to make it out alive. After Luoxia and Mingyu talked for a while, they said goodbye knowingly. After leaving Mingyu's house, Luoxia and the others flew to the Space Mercenary Alliance station and handed over the items needed for the trainee assessment. After handing in enough horns and wind horn stones, Luoxia and the other 5 became space trainee mercenaries. Rorschach, please leave quickly, Babata said, there are still many people on Kanglan planet looking for you. If they find you, you will be in trouble. It's time to go. Luoxia nodded and flew to the docking port with Luo Feng and the others. Soon after, they retrieved the spacecraft at the docking port. Under the control of Babata, the spacecraft flew out from the docking port. In just a few seconds, it entered the space shuttle and sailed into the dark universe. It should be safe, right? Rorschach said. Babata scanned it and said, no one is catching up, so it should be safe. Hearing this, Luoxia and Luo Feng were relieved at the same time. Now, they can take a good rest and sort out their gains in the realm within a realm. It's the end of the month, so I'd like to ask all readers for your monthly passes and recommendation votes. Swallowed Star, my understanding is beyond belief. Author, Bo Yun Song. Chapter 157. In the spacecraft control room, there were only Luoxia and Luo Feng. Times degree times degree times. As for Melissa and the others, they had already gone down to rest. The 3 of them, following Luoxia and Luo Feng in the Thunder World, may not be very tired physically, but they are very tired mentally. Taiwan Novel Network Rightward Arrow. Especially Aogu. Because he is a spiritual master of the 9th level of the stellar level, when he was in the Thunder World, he was responsible for many things. It's really something Aogu can't handle. Only Luoxia would show up with the red mixed copper mother. As for Tainan, he was very lucky and was not killed by the men of the 9th Prince Brolin like in the original work. After all, Rorschach is here and he can escape quickly. Unless the opponent brings out a spaceship, he really won't be able to catch up with Rorschach. These treasures are much more expensive than the sky-destroying knife. Luo Feng looked at the treasures that Luoxia took out, and said with some worry, what will we do with it then? If we find someone to sell it, it may cause some trouble. The attention of the super strong people will not be able to sell it for money, and they will lose their lives. Luoxia smiled and said, brother, have you forgotten? What did you forget? Luo Feng blinked blankly. Rorschach said, Universe Galaxy Bank. We can ask for the consignment service of Universe Galaxy Bank. Using their consignment service, although some handling fees will be charged, it is very safe for us. When Luo Feng heard this, his thoughts suddenly opened up and he smiled, yes. There is also a consignment service from the Universe Galaxy Bank. If you use Teacher Huanbo's account for consignment, it will be very safe. Babata also said at this time, you two are very smart, you know how to use the Master's account. Indeed, the Master's account is a 5-star user. The Universe Galaxy Bank will sell the treasures you have obtained throughout the universe. She looked at the treasures and continued, if these treasures are sold in the territory of the Black Dragon Mountain Empire, they are destined to cause an uproar and be dangerous to you, but on the scale of the entire universe, the waves they can cause are as big as the water droplets splashing into the waves of the sea are not impressive at all. Rorschach said, without further delay, Babata, sort out these treasures into categories, and then we go to the virtual universe to contact the Universe Galaxy Bank and ask them to go to Balin Star to get the things from us. No problem, Babata snapped his fingers. Rorschach seemed to have remembered something and said to Babata, by the way, don't buy that thunder secret technique. Understood, Babata nodded. Not long after, she sorted out the treasures Rorschach had exchanged for hunting with Moyan Teng, a total of 51 treasures. Some are as expensive as the Zhangkong Dao, some are more expensive than the Zhangkong Dao, and some are cheaper than it. They are all valuable treasures. Luo Xia and Luo Feng looked at each other, their consciousnesses immersed in the virtual universe. In the virtual universe, on a street on the Black Dragon Mountain Island, two brothers suddenly appeared. While looking around, Luo Xia said to Luo Feng, "Brother, we need to buy some real estate in the virtual universe, otherwise it will randomly appear on the street every time, which will be too troublesome." Luo Feng thought for a while and said, "In this case, I will go to your sister-in-law and others to discuss the purchase of real estate, and then you and Babata will go to the Universe Galaxy Bank." Rorschach nodded, "Okay." Rorschach and the others kept many of the consciousness helmets they brought to Earth, including their family members and relatives. Nowadays, Luo Hua and the others spend time in the virtual universe whenever they have time. Luo Hua is now making financial investments in the virtual universe. As for Mom and Dad, they came in just to play games. Nowadays, I can't help myself from being addicted to games. Rorschach quickly found a rickshaw driver. In this virtual universe, if you want to reach a place quickly, apart from spending money to teleport, you can only find these rickshaw drivers. After all, in this virtual universe, everyone's physical fitness is only the 4th level of apprentice, junior warrior. It can't fly by itself at all. After Rorschach got into the carriage, he said to the coachman, "Go to the Universe Galaxy Bank." The coachman nodded and said with a smile, "Sit tight, sir." As he spoke, he shook the reins, and the winged Pegasus immediately took off, flying toward the Bank of the Universe's galaxies at an astonishing speed. After flying into the sky, Rorschach discovered that there was a city suspended in the clouds and mist in the sky. Just like Castle in the Sky in Hayao Miyazaki's movie. Of course, this sky city in the virtual universe is very large in area and volume. It is suspended high in the sky. If it had not flown into the sky, it would not have been noticed on the ground. Rorschach asked the coachman. The coachman replied with a smile, "That is a hanging city. Every island and every continent has a hanging city. Generally, only strong men at the cosmic level and above can enter the hanging city." As he spoke, the coachman tightened the reins and said, "Sir, the Universe Galaxy Bank has arrived." "Thanks." Rorschach got off the carriage, and the fare was directly deducted from the bound bank account. He walked into the Universe Galaxy Bank, entered the interior along the self-service check-in channel, and then came to a sealed room. "Please enter your account number," an electronic voice sounded in the room. Luo Xia immediately entered Teacher Huianbo's account number. After he finished typing, the signal in the room immediately scanned Rorschach. The password entered is correct. User confirmation. Wow! In an instant, the original sealed room turned into a luxuriously decorated and connotative room, and an extremely beautiful female intelligence appeared and respectfully said to Rorschach, "Dear 5-star customer, hello, I am Smart No 008226, here to serve you." "Hello." Rorschach nodded and sat down on the sofa beside him. The female intelligence also sat down gently and said, "Dear sir, do you need any services when you come to our bank?" Rorschach nodded, "I need to get rid of some items. I want to use your bank's item consignment service." The female intelligence had a soft smile on her face and said, "Dear sir, of course it is possible. Our item consignment service has very powerful sales channels in all countries in the universe, and we can sell the goods you consigned quickly. We only a 1,000th handling fee will be charged." Rorschach smiled. Selling treasures that others find difficult is so simple for him. And all of this was brought about by Teacher Huianbo. It can be said that if they had not received the inheritance from Teacher Huianbo, even if Luo Xia and Luo Feng finally came to the universe, they would not be able to move forward. Here are the 50 items I want to consign. Rorschach immediately asked Babada to list the compiled treasure information, and a virtual projection appeared, allowing the female intelligence in front of him to intuitively see the items Rorschach wanted to sell. The female intelligence smile said, "Our Universe Galaxy Bank can sell 50 items immediately in the auction areas of all major universe countries in the virtual universe. Please confirm where and when to hand over your 50 items to our bank. Kinwu Star Area, Black Dragon Mountain Star Area, Balan Star in the Milky Way. The time is about 8 days later." Rorschach said. Female intelligence said, "The time and place have been confirmed, please sign the consignment document." A contract floated to Rorschach. On the other side, Luo Feng found Su Xian, and the two couples met and spread another meal of dog food, which meant that Luo Xia was not here, otherwise he would be fed again. After some tenderness, Luo Feng told Su Xian the news about purchasing real estate in the virtual universe. Soon after, the couple bought a large villa. After that, Rorschach and the others only need to bind their accounts to this big villa, and every time they log into the virtual universe, they will appear directly in the big villa. Brother, Luo Hua came to the big villa and saw Luo Feng, whom he hadn't seen for a long time, and asked, "Where is Xioxia?" Luo Feng said, "He went to the bank to do business. He will be here soon." Luo Hua nodded and said to Luo Feng, "I have something to ask you." Luo Feng looked at Luo Hua with a smile and asked, "What's the matter?" Luo Hua spread his hands and said, "The leaders on Earth want to truly enter the universe and contact other races in the universe." Luo Feng frowned, "Can't they enter the virtual universe? They are no longer satisfied with contact in the virtual universe. They want to have real contact with other races in the universe in reality," Luo Hua said. Luo Feng frowned. Luo Hua said helplessly, "Brother, don't you understand them? At first they were content with entering the virtual universe, but as time went by, their ambitions became even greater and they wanted to truly come into contact with the real universe." Luo Feng smiled helplessly. "It seems that the peace of the virtual universe has given them the feeling that the environment of the universe and the Earth are similar. Okay, they can come if they want. If they have not really experienced that kind of darkness and cruelty, they don't know the lesson." Luo Hua was surprised, "Do you really agree?" Luo Feng spread his hands, "Can I still stop them? The more they stop me, the more they will find ways to enter the universe, so I might as well agree to them directly." "But..." Luo Hua looked hesitant. "It's nothing." Luo Feng shook his head, "Reality will teach them real lessons, which is much more powerful than Luo Xia and I telling them sincerely how dangerous the universe is." "Oh, okay." Luo Hua nodded. Luo Feng asked, "By the way, are Hong and Lei Shen still on the Earth?" "Yes." Luo Hua nodded. "Speaking of which, this time those people on Earth who said they wanted to have real contact with the real universe bypassed Hong and Lei Shen and came to contact me secretly." Luo Feng smiled helplessly, "Oh, these people are really..." He didn't even know what to say. "Big brother, second brother," at this time, a voice came. Luo Feng and Luo Hua turned around and saw Luo Xia walking towards them with a cheerful look on their face. "Is the matter done?" Luo Feng asked. Luo Xia nodded, "It's done. Just go to Beilangzing and hand over the things to them in 8 days. As he said that, he turned around and asked, "Where are my sister-in-law and the others?" "Xionan and sister-in-law took Ping Ping and Haihei to go shopping," Luo Hua said. Luo Xia walked over, sat down next to Luo Hua, hugged his shoulders and asked, "Speaking of which, when are you and your second sister-in-law going to get married?" "I'm waiting to hold my niece and nephew." Luo Hua smiled and said, "When you come back, we will hold a wedding." Thank you to all readers who subscribed and voted. Thank you very much. Swallowed Star, my understanding is beyond belief. Author, Bo Yun Song. Chapter 158. After chatting about family matters for a while, Luo Xia asked, "Brother, what were you and the second brother talking about just now?" Luo Feng said, "Ahua told me that the leaders on Earth want to arrange for people to formally contact the races in the universe." Tisk. Luo Xia heard this, clicked his tongue, and then said, "It's understandable that they have this idea, let's just let them arrange immigration and go directly to the living planet under our control." Luo Feng's eyes brightened after hearing this. This is a good idea. Letting them immigrate to our living planet will not only satisfy their wish to contact the universe, but also better protect the Earth's information. But Luo Feng frowned. "I remember that the life planet Master Minjiu gave us is far away from the Earth, it is not suitable for them to immigrate." Rorschach smiled and said, "Brother, don't forget, we have money now, we can just buy a few living planets in the galaxy and let them immigrate." Luo Hua, who was next to him, opened his mouth and asked in surprise, "Brother, Xiao Xia, how much money did you make this time when you went out?" Luo Feng and Luo Xia looked at each other and smiled. Luo Feng said, "A lot, by the way, have you made any financial investments recently?" Luo Hua nodded, with an unconcealable expression on his face. "It only takes 10 years for a huge bull market to appear on Earth, but in this vast universe, different universe countries have completely different economic situations. If the financial market on Earth is a gentle stream, the financial market in the universe, that's the sea with a category 12 typhoon. Full of crises, but also full of opportunities. A powerful person can double his capital 1,000 times in 10 days and a half. There are also people who have lost everything in just one day. Very exciting." Luo Hua had a smile on his face. "After getting in touch with the financial market of the universe, I felt a little bit interesting. It felt like fighting the waves in the sea. It was very refreshing." Luo Xia and Luo Feng looked at each other. After a while, Luo Feng said, "Since it feels so good, Xioxia and I will give you some money and you can go and have a good time." As he spoke, he transferred 5 billion universe coins directly from his bank account to Luo Hua. Luo Hua heard the message from the bank and blinked. Universe coin. It's still 5 billion universe coin. Brother, Xioxia, are you making so much money when you go out?" "Haha, I have better luck this time," Luo Xia said with a smile. Luo Hua scratched his head and frowned. "These 5 billion cosmic coins are not small money, big brother. Xioxia, aren't you afraid that I will lose?" Luo Feng waved his hand and said, "You can go ahead and do it with confidence. Just make money after you lose money to me and Xioxia. 8 days later, after selling those treasures, they will get more money. These 5 billion cosmic coins are really nothing now." When Luo Hua saw Luo Feng being so heroic, he had no choice but to slap his mouth and said, "Okay." The three brothers chatted all afternoon, and towards evening, the elder sister-in-law Su Xian and the second sister-in-law Zhen Nan came back with Ping Ping and Ziohe. Afterwards, my father and mother also came online, and the family reunited for the first time in the virtual universe. Only then did Luo Xia and Luo Feng leave the virtual universe and return to reality. In the control room of the spaceship, Rorschach took out the Thunder secret technique that he had exchanged. This Thunder secret method is placed in 5 auxiliary optical brain chips. Rorschach inserted these optical brain-assisted chips into the receiver on his arm. In an instant, a profound and powerful secret method of Thunder appeared in front of Rorschach. However, "Hey little one, we meet again." In the command room, a smiling old man with a white beard suddenly appeared. Babata and Luo Feng were both startled. Luo Xia raised his eyebrows slightly, not surprised, otherwise why would he go out of his way to redeem the Thunder secret technique? Just because I had read the original work, I vaguely remembered that the old man put his core chip in the auxiliary light brain of the Thunder secret technique, and followed Luo Feng and the others who had redeemed the Thunder secret technique to sneak out of the realm within the realm. The old man has been imprisoned in the world within a world for tens of millions of years. Now that he meets adventurers like Rorschach, he will naturally not stay in the world within a world. He does not want to bear the loneliness anymore. Moreover, the old man also knows. Those realm masters will definitely forcefully enter the realm within the realm after the adventurer army leaves, capture him as an intelligent life, and obtain the secrets of the Kabu realm master. If he continues to stay in the realm within the realm, he will definitely die. Little guy, you don't look like you're surprised at all. The white-bearded old man just raised his eyebrows when he saw Rorschach, and narrowed his eyes slightly. Did you guess what I was doing, old man? Tisk, tisk, you are so smart. Very smart. Congratulations, you have become my great master Kabu, the disciple of the realm lord. I'm not interested in becoming a disciple of Lord Kabu, and I already have a disciple. Rorschach said. That's right. Old man, Babata saw that someone was trying to snatch his master's disciple. He immediately couldn't sit still, jumped out, and stared at the old man with a white beard. He is my master's disciple. The old man with a white beard was not surprised at all when he saw Babata, and said with a smile, sure enough, you have inheritance, and I didn't expect you to be an intelligent life, little girl. My master is a powerful person at the level of a world lord. He apprentices to me, master, you will never suffer any loss. Babata curled his lips. How dare a small world lord shout in front of my master? My master is an immortal strongman who has surpassed the world lord. And he is also the strongest among the immortal strongmen. She looked like your master, please don't touch the porcelain. The old man with the white beard suddenly took a breath of cold air. The strongest among the immortal level strong. Then his master Kabu realm master is really unstoppable. The old man with a white beard said in frustration, is it such a powerful disciple? Alas, master, I'm sorry for you. I thought I found you an extremely outstanding disciple, but the other party already has a teacher. Alas, master, ugh woohoo. The old man actually cried. Luo Xia and Luo Feng looked at each other, and after a while, Luo Xia said helplessly, Master Wu, why are you crying? I know a very talented person, and he also has the attribute of thunder, so he is definitely suitable to be a disciple of Lord Kabu. Master Wu stopped crying, looked at Rorschach with bright eyes, and asked, is he as genius as you? Has he been recognized by the original law at the stellar level? Babata rolled her eyes and said, do you think anyone is as talented as Rorschach? Master Wu said in disappointment, ah. Isn't it recognized by the original law? You are so disappointed. Babata showed his pointed fangs. As I said, not everyone is a Rorschach. In the years that my master and I have been wandering the universe, we have never seen anyone who is like Rorschach and has obtained the original law at the star level. Admit. Luo Xia said dumbfounded, although the other party has not been recognized by the original law, and has not even understood the power of the law, he has a domain at the planet level. Mr. Wu's eyes brightened slightly. Having a domain at the planet level is indeed a genius, although it is not as good as this little guy like you, he is still qualified to be my master's disciple. Little guy, please introduce me to that person. That's no problem, Luo Xia nodded. Master Wu smiled and said, I won't let your work go in vain, and in order to repay you for bringing me out of the realm within the realm, when the little guy accepts the master's inheritance and obtains the master's space secrets, I can let him. The secrets of space are shared with you. Babata snorted, with your master's level, the realm of space secrets that you can obtain is probably not much higher. My master is an immortal level powerhouse. He also possesses space secrets. Having said this, Babata looked at Rorschach and said, Rorschach, you have now been recognized by the law of the origin of wind. I will teach you the secret method of space, and you can start trying to understand the secret method of space. The original law is the great way. The sooner you understand these original laws, the higher your future achievements will be. To be honest, I never thought that you would be recognized by the law of origin at the stellar level. Rorschach nodded. Babida looked at Luo Feng again and said. As for Luo Feng, we have to wait a little longer. You haven't even understood the domain now. Teaching you the secrets of space is just trying to encourage growth, which is extremely detrimental to your growth. Luo Feng smiled bitterly and nodded. Although his understanding is not bad, it is not as perverted as Rorschach. Master Wu looked at Babida enviously. He understood very well that Rorschach's talent, the kind of understanding that was recognized by the original law, was absolutely heaven-defying. If it weren't for the inheritance represented by Babida, it would be an immortal level. He almost wanted to compete with Babida. After all, with Rorschach's understanding and talent, becoming immortal is basically a certainty. Immortal. That is a super strong man who surpasses the Lord of Kabu. Next, Luo Xia and Luo Feng began to practice in the spaceship. Luo Feng is now practicing the 10,000 sword soul seal. At this time, he has achieved some success and can condense hundreds of sword seals. As for Luo Xia, he was devouring and absorbing the cosmic crystal while learning the secret method of thunder and comprehending the law of thunder. As a warrior with the wind attribute, Rorschach would be more familiar with the law of wind. But this does not mean that he cannot understand other original laws. It's just that when understanding other laws, the efficiency will be slower than the law of the origin of wind. But under his incredible understanding, this slower efficiency is definitely dozens, or even hundreds of times, that of others. Zilla Zilla. As Rorschach learned and understood the secret method of thunder, pale white lightning began to appear on his body. On the 8th day, when he was about to arrive at Balan Star, Luo Xia had already understood a little bit of the thunder law. At this time, the lightning on his body had changed from pale white to faint blue. This progress and speed made Lord Wu open his mouth in great surprise. When others were at the star level, they didn't even have a domain and couldn't comprehend the power of the law. But now, Luo Xia has realized the power of the original law of thunder in just 8 days with the help of a World Lord level thunder secret method. And the power of the thunder law is not the law that best suits him. What kind of understanding is this? What an exaggeration! Babida looked at Master Wu's surprised look and smiled with his fangs exposed. How could he be so surprised now? To be honest, I have been with Rorschach for a long time. I have long been so amazed by his talent that I rarely show any expressions of surprise anymore. Sometimes I see Rorschach accomplishing an incredible feat, for example, spending 8 days to comprehend the power of the thunder law that others may never be able to comprehend in their lifetime. None of them would be surprised anymore. Instead, he would have this thought in his mind: if it was Xiao Xia, Luo Xia, wouldn't it be normal to do such a thing? If Master Wu knew what Babida and Luo Feng were thinking, he would definitely come to their ears and shout. What's normal about this? It's not normal at all. Whose enlightenment is so amazing? Even the laws that don't fit him can be understood so quickly, just like those laws are women who are not disciplined. Luo Xia just knocks on the door and the law opens a crack for him. This is totally abnormal. Is the origin law so casual? During the days he was with Luo Xia, Master Wu fell into a state of doubt about life. Luo Feng, Luo Xia, we are at Balan Star. In the command room of the spacecraft, Babida reminded Luo Xia and Luo Feng, and then she controlled the spacecraft to slow down, entered the atmosphere of Balan Star, and slowly flew over the warehouse base that was bought on Balan Star. At this time, right in front of the base, there was a gorgeous spaceship parked, with the logo of Universe Galaxy Bank on the hull. Babida landed the spaceship, and the people on the spaceship of the Universe Galaxy Bank also noticed Luo Xia's spaceship. Under their gaze, the hatch of the spaceship opened, and Luo Xia and Luo Feng flew down from the spaceship. 2-star level. The 3 people standing at the hatch of the Universe Galaxy Bank spaceship looked at Luo Xia and Luo Feng and frowned slightly. The strength of the three of them is 1 domain master and 2 universe level. Much stronger than the star level. But because of the company's regulations, they now have to trade with 2-star level little guys, and they have to serve with a smile. The 3 strong men looked at Luoxia and Luo Feng, who were coming, with a smile on their mouths, and they were already cursing in their hearts. 2 gentlemen, please give me the 50 items you agreed on. The domain master standing in the middle said to Luoxia and Luo Feng with a smile. Luoxia handed over a space wristband. The goods are inside, you check it out. Tisk. The spaceship emitted a hazy stream of light, shining on the space wristband. Just a moment later, a voice came out, goods confirmed. Sir, the transaction was successful, thank you for your support for our Universe Galaxy Bank. The domain master bowed slightly. His face couldn't help twitching at this moment. Well, thank you for your trouble, Rorschach said. The domain master didn't want to stay any longer, took the space wristband and turned away with 2 universe-level subordinates. After they boarded the spaceship and took off, one of the universe level couldn't help saying, "It's funny that 2-star levels came to trade with us." Another universe level also said, "We just had to bow to them. I feel uncomfortable just thinking about it." The domain master frowned and said, "Say less, the objects we serve are all immortal level. The other party can come to trade with us, which means that there is an immortal level strongman standing behind them. They may be disciples of a big family or a super strong man, don't talk nonsense." "Yes, sir." The 2 universe levels hurriedly responded respectfully. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Swallowed Star, my understanding is beyond belief. Author, Bo Yoon Song. Chapter 159. After the transaction on Balin Star, Luoxia and Luo Feng did not stay for too long. They let Babata control the spaceship directly, leaving Balin Star and flying to the Earth. On the spaceship, in addition to learning the secret method of thunder and understanding the law of thunder, Luoxia also began to learn the secret method of space taught by Babata. The law of space is a higher law, and like the law of time, it is the law power closest to the origin of the universe. It is difficult for people who are not at the realm master level to comprehend it. Luoxia also spent a lot of time to comprehend some of the fur. In the quiet lounge, Luoxia practiced. It can be seen that around the strong body, the space is faintly vibrating, emitting a strange wave, which is in a perfect synchronization with Luoxia's heartbeat. Dong dong. Dong dong. In the wristband space, Babata was very excited. Sure enough, I knew that the secret method of space can't be difficult for Luoxia. She didn't dare to make a sound, for fear of disturbing Luoxia. It was unknown how long it took for the vibration and wave in the space to slowly disappear. Rorschach opened his eyes and exhaled. "Babata, how long will it take to reach Earth?" he asked. Babata said, "There's still more than an hour. By the way, Rorschach, do you want to read the email sent to you by the Universe Galaxy Bank?" Yes, Rorschach nodded. Babata immediately projected the email sent by the Universe Galaxy Bank into Rorschach's sight. "Dear customer, hello. You have bound your account in our bank's consciousness. You have just received a remittance of 11,400 billion universe coins. The balance of your account has reached the limit of 10 Hunyuan. Hunyuan is a high-level unit. Each Hunyuan unit is equivalent to 1 trillion universe coins, and it has been automatically upgraded to a 3-star account. You also automatically become a distinguished 3-star customer of my Universe Galaxy Bank. As a star customer, you have many special powers. Attached below this email is a list and explanation of some special powers. Universe Galaxy Bank." Rorschach looked at the universe coins mentioned in the email and smiled. More than 110,000 universe coins, a lot. What does it mean? According to Babada, the price of a galaxy territory is between 100 billion and 1 trillion universe coins. In other words, Luo Xia and Luo Feng's current assets are equivalent to dozens of galaxy territories. Note that it is a galaxy territory. A galaxy has at least hundreds of thousands of life planets. Luo Xia and Luo Feng's current wealth has far exceeded that of top domain masters such as Ming Yu, and is equivalent to the wealth of many powerful realm masters. Babada continued, in addition to this email, there are emails sent to you by other institutions. Most of the emails want you to apply for fund custody services from them, or want to help you manage planets. At this point, Babada suddenly projected an email. By the way, you have to take a good look at this email. It is very important for you and your brother. Luo Xia looked at the email on the projection and saw that it said, "Dear Sir, hello. From the moment you become a 3-star customer of the Universe Galaxy Bank, you have the qualifications to step into the Ganwu auction. In the universe, many precious items are restricted, and there are many items that are difficult to buy even if you have money. The auction held by our virtual universe company provides many people with the opportunity to purchase restricted precious items. The Ganwu auction is held every 3 years. The minimum threshold for participating in the auction is a 3-star customer of the Universe First Bank and the Universe Galaxy Bank. The next Ganwu auction will be held in 2 years. For details about the auction, please see the attachment to this email. Virtual Universe Company. Auction. Yes, this auction is of a very high level, Babada explained, like the Fruit of Life and Domain Master level bloodline we saw at the white-bearded old man before. They can all be bought at the auction. She pointed at the email. Of course, at your current level, you can only participate in this kind of primary auction. There will be intermediate and advanced auctions later. The higher the level of the auction, the more good things you can buy. Many things are very difficult to get even for the owner. Rorschach nodded and looked at the time of the auction. The next auction will be in 2 years. You can go and have a look then. Even if you don't buy anything, it's good to broaden your horizons. Babada nodded and opened another email for Rorschach. This email is from the Giant Axe Fighting Arena. After you become a 3-star customer, you will automatically become a member of the Giant Axe Fighting Arena. Rorschach touched his chin. I heard that after becoming a member, you can watch the live broadcast of the Giant Axe Fighting Arena. Babada said, that's right. The live broadcast of the Giant Axe Arena is very helpful for your and your brother's cultivation. You can watch the live broadcast of the arena during your rest time. Rorschach clicked on the email and found that at the end of the email, there was also a preview of the live broadcast of the recent 7-day life and death battles. In 7 days, 6,201 battles were fought, including 6,118 universe-level life and death battles, 82 domain-level life and death battles, and 1 world-level life and death battle. So many battles. Babada said, don't be surprised, the Giant Axe Arena is a giant organization spread throughout the universe. It is normal to have such a life and death battle in 7 days. And you see, there are only 3 life and death battles belonging to the Ganwu universe. Rorschach nodded and said, Babada, send a message to my brother and let him enter the virtual universe. Let's watch the live broadcast together. New. Soon after, both Luo Xia and Luo Feng appeared at home in the virtual universe. The two watched the battle live together. The battles in the Giant Axe Arena are basically life and death battles. In this kind of battle, the battle will only stop if one party dies completely. If it were placed on the earth, it would directly give you harmony and would not be allowed to be broadcast. But this is the universe, so there's no problem. An hour later, a life and death battle ended, and Luo Xia and Luo Feng returned to Earth. Luo Xia and Luo Feng were both a little silent after watching the live broadcast. To be honest, the identities of the two cosmic powerhouses fighting were both tragic. But in the end only one of the two survives. No matter when, This universe is showing us its cruelty. Luo Feng said with emotion. Yes. So only if we are strong enough can we defeat this cruelty and protect our families, Rorschach said. Xiao Feng? Xiao Xia, a surprised voice sounded, you two brothers have arrived at the door of your house. Why are you standing here if you don't go in? Dad, Luo Xia and Luo Feng looked forward and saw Luo Hongguo holding his hands behind his back, as if he was about to go out for a walk. Where are you going? I'm going out for a walk, Luo Hongguo said. Looking at Luo Xia and Luo Feng, but after you come back, I won't go out. Dad, where is my mother? Rorschach asked. Luo Hongguo replied, your mother is in the virtual universe. Well. Luo Feng said, Dad, I will go back to see Su Xian and the children first, and come back later. Go quickly. Bring Su Xian and the children over for dinner tonight. Luo Hongguo said, turned around and went into the villa, shouting, old woman, stop soaking in the virtual universe. Xiao Feng and Xiaoxia are back. Come out and cook. After returning home, Rorschach completely relaxed. He lay at home for 2 days before flying to the headquarters of the Thunder Martial Arts School and finding the God of Thunder. You kid, why do you want to come to me? Thor was surprised to see Rorschach coming to him. When my brother and I were adventuring in the universe, we received the inheritance from a world lord. I thought it was very suitable for you, so I sent it to you. Rorschach said with a smile. Thor's eyes widened. Ah. What are you talking about? The inheritance of the world master. At this time, the old man with a white beard also appeared. He looked at Thor and asked Rorschach, little guy, is this the boy you are talking about? Well, yes, he is a first-level star, and his domain has reached the second level. Although the physical qualifications are a bit poor, the understanding is very good. Thor looked at the old man with a white beard in surprise and asked, Rorschach, who is this old gentleman? Little guy, you can call me Lord Wu, the old man said with a smile. Rorschach said, well, this is the intelligent life of Lord Wu, Lord Kabu of the Thunder Realm. The God of Thunder blinked, looked at Luo Xia in disbelief, and asked, Luo Xia, are you telling the truth? The inheritance of the world master. Really, can I still lie to you? Luo Xia said dumbfounded. The God of Thunder was dumbfounded and said, I'm not saying you are lying to me, it's just that this thing is too dreamy. I haven't done anything yet, and you just sent me the inheritance of a world lord. This is a world lord. Luo Xia said, Master Kabu, the Lord of Thunder Realm, is very good at thunder, and he fits well with you, God of Thunder, so I brought Master Wu here. Master Wu also looked at the God of Thunder at this time and said, little guy, do you want to become a disciple? Although you are not as good as Luo Xia, your qualifications are pretty good. I can reluctantly accept you as a disciple on behalf of my master. The God of Thunder blinked, and then became his disciple at the speed of light. This damn fat is already in your mouth, why don't you eat it? After worshipping as his master, Rorschach was ready to say goodbye to the God of Thunder. Thor said to Rorschach, who was about to leave, Luo Xia, don't say anything. You have given me such a great opportunity. If anything happens in the future, just tell me. Whether it's going to the mountain of knives or going to the sea of fire, even if it means digging out my heart, I'm willing to do it. Rorschach shuddered, so disgusting? I'm not King Joe, why are you digging into your heart? Luo Xia didn't know whether to laugh or cry. After saying this, he left directly under the disgusting eyes of the God of Thunder. After the matter on Lei Shen's side was settled, Luo Xia and Luo Feng hadn't settled down at home for a long time. Leaders from all sides of the earth came to visit with Hong and Lei Shen to discuss their emigration to alien planets. After some discussion, Luo Xia and Luo Feng expressed their attitudes. As long as the information about the earth is not exposed, these leaders can do whatever they want. They can provide a living planet as a place for immigration, and they will not care about other things. After this meeting, Hong and Lei Shen communicated with the Rorschach brothers for a long time. Hong and Lei Shen want to go to the universe to experience. When Luo Xia and Luo Feng heard this, they gave each of them 10 billion dry witch coins, and then sent them all kinds of experience and knowledge. Hong and Lei Shen didn't say much. After saying goodbye to their families, they left the Earth together in the spaceship. And just 2 months after Hong and Lei Shen left, Rorschach continuously swallowed the cosmic crystals and gave birth to the clone of the golden horned giant beast in the cave world. Finally, more than 2 months later, on Mars, next to Rorschach, a 300-meter-long first-order golden horned giant beast suddenly appeared. The moment it appeared, the golden horned giant beast roared to the universe. I beg all readers to subscribe and give me monthly tickets and recommendation tickets. Swallowed Star, My Understanding is Beyond Belief. Author, Bo Yun Song. Chapter 160. In the great storm raging on Mars, yellow sand danced all over the sky. A giant golden horned beast with a body length of more than 300 meters was flying in the air, and beside this behemoth, there were 2 figures as small as ants flying. Rorschach looked at his golden horned beast clone and felt a very strange feeling. "Brother, is this what you saw after taking away the golden horned giant beast?" Luo Xia frowned and said, "It feels so wonderful, as if there is another me in the world." His earthly self stretched out his hand and touched the scales of the golden horned beast clone. "In my self-perception, I am touching myself now, but from a visual perspective, looking at it from a third-party perspective, it feels like I am touching another existence that has nothing to do with me. This feels so amazing. 2 bodies and 1 soul. Well, that's interesting." Rorschach savored this unique feeling carefully. It took a long time for him to get used to this feeling of 2 bodies, 1 soul. Luo Feng laughed at the side and said, "Haha, it was the same when I first took away the body of the golden horned giant beast. Especially after the Earthling's clone was conceived later, the feeling was even more amazing. After a while, you will get used to it." Rorschach nodded. Luo Feng asked again, "Speaking of which, Xioxia, can your cave world continue to breed golden horned giant beast clones? If it can breed, you will not only have 3 golden horned giant beast clones, but also get 9 additional clones. A clone talent." Rorschach shook his head, "Such a good thing is impossible. The clone ability that I learned from the talent of the golden horned giant beast is limited. The same kind of life form can only give birth to a clone once." He sighed, "In other words, after I gave birth to the clone of this golden horned giant beast, I will no longer be able to give birth to the bloodline of the golden horned giant beast. Even if I meet other golden horned giant beasts in the future, it is also impossible to use their flesh and blood tissue to carry out clone pregnancy." Luo Feng said with some regret, "Is that so? That's really a pity." Luo Xia smiled and said, "People must learn to be content. Now that I have the golden horned behemoth clone, I have 3 more clone talents. It's already very good." "That's right." Luo Feng nodded and asked, "Can you get the inheritance of the golden horned giant beast from this clone?" "It's a bit embarrassing to say." Luo Feng had agreed at the beginning that after learning the soul seal, he would pass on the golden horned behemoth's original world and absolute space secret techniques to Luo Xia. But because he has never learned the soul seal, the other inherited secrets of the golden horned beast have not yet been passed on to Luo Xia. Hearing this, Luo Xia closed her eyes slightly. His consciousness penetrated deeply into the inner world of the golden horned behemoth and saw the strange protonucleus covered with golden secret patterns. Buzz. The next second, inheritance information came to Luo Xia like a tide. This inherited information is so vast, like the ocean, rolling up waves and rushing towards Luo Xia. Many mysterious techniques emerged in my memory. Diamond suit. Time passed by minute by minute. When Luo Feng saw that Luo Xia had closed his eyes, he became motionless. Knowing that he was receiving the inherited memory of the golden horned beast, Luo Feng did not disturb him, but stood aside to protect Luo Xia. About a day passed. Rorschach opened his eyes, and golden light seemed to flash in his bright eyes. Just listen to Luo Xia's earthly self say, "Huh, this inherited memory is quite huge, and there are all kinds of secret methods." Luo Feng looked over in surprise and asked, "It has only been one day, and you have already received the inherited memory of the golden horned beast." "Well, this memory is too huge. My head is a little dizzy now," Rorschach said. Luo Feng blinked. When he received the memory of the golden horned giant beast, it took him 16 days. Why does Rorschach only have one day? This gap is so big. Luo Feng asked, "How is it? Is there any difference between the inherited memories you and I received?" Luo Xia shook his head and said with a mixture of laughter and tears, "Brother, I haven't seen your memories, how do I know if there is any difference, but..." He closed his eyes, sorted out the various memories in his mind, then opened his eyes and said, "The secret techniques I obtained are also 3,199 ordinary ones and 18 special ones." Luo Feng said, "It seems there isn't much difference." Luo Xia nodded and said, "Brother, please step back a little, let me see the combat power of this clone." "Ah," Luo Feng blinked and stepped away, asking, "What do you want to see?" "Of course." Luo Xia smiled and saw that Luo Feng had retreated a long distance and suddenly collided with the clone of the golden horned giant beast. There was a loud bang. In Luo Feng's surprised eyes, Luo Xia fought with his golden horned beast clone. "Rorschach, this is a fight between left and right, which is quite interesting." Babita didn't know when she came out. She sat on Luo Feng's shoulder and said with a smile as she watched Rorschach's earthly self and the golden horned beast clone fight together. On the field, Rorschach suppressed the strength of his earthly self to the first level of stellar level, and fought with the clone of the golden horned giant beast. This feeling was very strange. As Babita said, it was like he was fighting each other left and right. Fight with another self. Boom boom boom. The two sides fought fiercely until they came together. The golden horned behemoth clone was huge, but under the control of Rorschach, it was extremely flexible. It was obviously a life of the metal system, but at this time it used the power of the original law of wind. It is because this clone and the original body share talents and understandings. For example, Luo Xia's original earthling body has the mark of the law of the origin of wind, so there will also be a mark of the law on the head of the golden horned beast, and it can use the power of the law of the origin of wind. The original body and the clone fought for a long time before stopping. Luo Xia laughed, "Cool." He waved his hand and put the clone of the golden horned beast into the cave world. It is worth mentioning that in order to speed up the breeding of the clone of the golden horned beast, Luo Xia recently swallowed a lot of cosmic crystals. These cosmic crystals were originally the basis for opening up the world inside the body. Under the effect of these cosmic crystals, Luo Xia's cave world is dozens of times larger than before. "Babita, have the metals we ordered been delivered to Balin Star?" Luo Xia flew to Luo Feng and asked Babita. Babita, who was sitting on Luo Feng's shoulder, checked and said, "We will arrive at Balin Star the day after tomorrow." Luo Feng said, "Fortunately, we made a lot of money in the Thunder World, otherwise it would be too stressful to raise two golden horned beasts." Luo Xia smiled and nodded. If the golden horned beast wants to quickly improve its strength, it only needs to devour various special metals. And if you want to get those special metals, it is best to buy them in the universe. But the prices of those special metals are not cheap. But now, Luo Xia and Luo Feng are not short of money, so they can buy as much as they want. According to Babita's calculations, as long as Luo Xia and his friends don't spend their money recklessly, it is enough for Luo Feng and Luo Xia's golden horned beast clones to grow quickly to the domain master level. First 2,000 words.